Her sound acknowledges the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation as the traditional owners of the unceded land on which we work, learn, and live. We pay respect to elders past, present, and future, and acknowledge that sovereignty was never ceded. Always was and always will be Aboriginal land. Hello and welcome to Her Sound, a decade of evolution across the female music landscape. Over this 3-part docuseries, we spotlight 3 remarkable women across the Australian music industry and hear their experiences. Today we have Chrissie Vincent on Her Sound. What a powerhouse of a woman. I have so many notes in front of me because I could not summarize it without the notes. She started in Festival Records in Sydney in 1981 in accounts and then got moved to PR, her true calling, I would argue. In 1992, she moved to Los Angeles and worked at Rhino Records, Platinum Music, Gasoline Alley Records. Oh my God, it's just too many names. She came back in 1998 and started working in Sydney for artist relations at MTV. Crazy. Then she started her own publicity company. Why not? Chrissie Vincent Publicity. Today, she is still the head of entertainment management in ColArts. Great content. In 2014, she studied her Masters of International Music Business. She started managing acts in 2001. This timeline's going backwards. It's going all over the place. And she still manages Melbourne act Black Chords today. Absolute gun. Let's get into it. Hey, Chrissie.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Great. Thanks so much for having me.
Thanks for being here. All right, I have a couple of questions for you.
Yep.
You've seen them.
Fire away.
I'm excited to hear your answers.
Ooh.
All right. First question.
Yep.
What made you want to pursue a career in the music industry?
Well, that's a really good question. And here's the answer. So I did not want to pursue a career in the music industry because I actually wanted to be a vet nurse. And I was training to be a vet nurse. I was studying to be a vet nurse and doing some temp work and just accidentally got a job at Festival Records.
Accidentally.
Just back a bit though, my family, like there was always music going on and my brother played in a band. It was a pretty shitty band, so nobody knew about them. But he had a friend that was also in a band who was in the church, Marty Wilson Piper from the church. So there was always music going on, and my mum absolutely loves music and is still just a huge fan of music at 91. So I always had music going on, older sisters, mum, but I didn't realise that there was a music industry, so I didn't really set out going, I want to be in the music industry. Yeah. And it just by chance got a job at Festival Records and then went, wow, this is so much fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you going to be a vet later in the future?
No. I have thought about going back to vet nursing, but it just, I think I became more, and I did do vet nursing for a little bit, but I think I've become more, like a lot softer in my older age, and I think it would upset me too much.
Yeah, fair.
Like I put dogs to sleep and, things like that. And I didn't get upset.
Probably shouldn't laugh.
You shouldn't laugh. But now that I've had dogs and... Yeah.
Fair choice.
Yeah.
Second question for you.
Yes.
Are there any women in the music industry who inspire you?
When I first started in the industry, so it was early 80s, right? It was very much a male-dominated industry. And there are a few women that were around at that time that are still around and still, well, not so much they're still around, but so one would be FIFA Riccobono. So FIFA was one of the first music industry executives at Albert's Music, and she worked with AC/DC and the Easy Beats and all of that. So if you ever watch a doco on Alberts, which there are a couple around, you'll always see FIFA being interviewed. And FIFA is just an awesome woman, and I would call her a good friend. I got to work with FIFA at Alberts a few times on publicity campaigns that I was working with artists that were on Alberts. And I actually, it was during that time, she took me to an APRA Awards on the Alberts table and ARIA Awards and stuff like that. And so FIFA is, I would say, definitely one that was just amazing. And then there were just a bunch of other women, Sandra Robertson, and there were just a bunch of women that were around at that time and that were working in the industry at like Harbour, Frontier, that type of thing, in roles that were, pretty tough. And a lot of those women had to be tough, so they were kind of scary.
Yeah.
But then as I got older, I got to know them, and they weren't as scary as when I first started and was like, they're scary. And probably like what people think that I'm scary,
Impossible. Do you think it's like a bit of a facade that they had to put on for work?
Oh, completely. Completely. They had to be tough and hard ass. They had to be.
Yeah.
Because it was a male-dominated industry. So you had to be, you either were hard ass or you were doing other things to get to the get higher positions.
Yeah. Do you think it's changed now?
Oh, yeah, most definitely.
Good.
Most definitely. Oh my God. Oh, hell yeah. Now the women, there's so many amazing women doing amazing things, that makes me feel really, really good about that the industry is going to it's going through a bit of a rough time at the moment, but, I think that it's going to be in a really good place. And the main reason is that there's a lot of young women coming up that are doing a really amazing things, and and all those old dinosaurs, the old men, they're all retiring and stepping down, and it's just paving the way. And I'm going to say that, like, I would say 95% of the students in entertainment management are girls, are women, right? Yeah. There's hardly any boys, and that I constantly say that just shows me that they're going to be running the industry, Yay.
I'm excited.
Yeah, I'm excited too. I'm excited.
Biggest career highlight so far?
Well, that's a really tough one. And the one that I always kind of fall back on is Susie Sue. So Susie and the Banshees, legend. Legend in your punk music scene. She's still around. And if anyone doesn't know who Susie Sue from Susie and the Banshees is, do yourself a favour and look it up. But Susie was out here with her band in 2000, and it's been the only time she's actually been out here.
Wow.
And I was doing her PR, and it was a really easy job, and I got lots of front covers and heaps of publicity, and the show's all sold out, and I had to pick her up at the airport and then entertain her, and took her and her husband, who was also in the band, out for dinner, and took them to Destasio down in St Kilda. And, I was like, anyway, over dinner, it's really hard because you're like, what do I talk to her about, And as a publicist that's done that and met lots of people like that and had to drive them around and spend a day or 2 days or whatever with someone like that, you've got to just kind of go, all right, what am I going to talk about, So we were having dinner, and I mentioned that I had just got back from LA and that I'd worked with the Sex Pistols in LA. Now, she had a massive connection with the Sex Pistols, and I told her about how I'd spat in John Lydon's sushi, right? And she leant over the table and hugged me and said, I effing love you, right? And that was it. We bonded. And then after dinner, we went to, there used to be a bar underneath the Prince of Wales called the Mink Bar, and it had 100 different flavors of vodka. And I think we tried all of them. And poor Budgie, her husband, was like, he didn't drink. So he was just putting up with, and then by this time, my girlfriend from Shock, who was releasing the album, had rocked up. So me and Michelle and Susie just like, try this one, you know. And it went bananas. I don't think anyway, I'm not going to tell you all of the details. But, so we bonded. We really bonded. And then the next day, you know, the next night was a gig. And then after that gig, Susie was like, I want you to come to Sydney. You know, come and hang out with me in Sydney. And I was like, okay, I'll come and hang out with you in Sydney. You know, and we went shopping and we had a great time in Sydney. And after the Sydney show, I said to her, I forgot to ask you to play Christine the Strawberry Girl, which was one of my fave songs back in those days, because it's my name, you know. And she went, oh, why didn't you tell me? You know, and I said, oh, I forgot. She's like, don't worry about it. So that was the end of it. And then the next 2 days later, they had a Brisbane show, and I was at home pretty exhausted after my, you know, nights of drinking with Susie Sue. And hard life. And she rang me. I was asleep in bed, and this is 2000, so you can imagine that they're like, I had a little Nokia that you could only, there was no phones or there was no like cameras or anything or recorders. You could play Snake, and that was about it. And my phone rang in like probably 11:30. I was asleep, and I hear, Chrissie, it's Susie. And I'm like, oh, no. I sit up in bed, and she says, you know, don't hang up. I want to play something for you. And I'm like, okay, you know. And I'm thinking, oh my God, I want to record this. Oh my God, there's nobody here. I can't play this or anything. And so she sings Christine, the Strawberry Girl, down the phone. She's live on stage in Fortitude Valley in Brisbane. And I'm like sitting in bed going, oh my God. And I couldn't share it with anyone. And I was crying because I was like, nobody's ever done this to me before. And then she said, I love you. Don't hang up. And then she carries me into the dressing room, as in me with the phone. And she carries the phone into the dressing room. And at one point, the Australian tour manager goes, I'm glad I'm not paying for this phone call, because back in 2000, it was expensive, you know, by the minute. And then I hear them backstage going, okay, we'll play Hong Kong Garden, we'll play this. And there's all these songs that they didn't play in Sydney or Melbourne. And so I'm hearing these songs, and I'm like, oh my God, this is amazing, right? And I got like 4 songs sung to me. The next morning, I get a phone call from the music journalist at the Courier Mail, who I'd put on the door, you know, to review the show. And he said, oh, Chrissie, thank you so much, though. It was such a great show. And I said, oh, you got some songs that we didn't get in Sydney and Melbourne. And he said, was that you on the phone? And I said, yeah. And he goes, oh, he said, she stopped the show. She demanded to get the tour manager's phone, blah, blah, blah. And then rang you. And I was like, wow. And that to me was just the best thing. Oh. And nobody, you know, I've had other great experiences, but nothing tops that. Nothing tops Susie Sue ringing and singing Christine down the phone to you.
That is insane.
Yeah.
It's sad that you couldn't record it, but
I know.
happy that you can tell that story so well now.
It's like, it was so amazing.
I love it.
Anyway.
In what ways do you hope to see the music industry progressing in terms of inclusivity?
I think that it is getting a lot better in Australia. You know, it's changed a lot.
Yeah.
So I think that women, and like I said, you know, the women that are coming through right now, it's just amazing. But you look at all of the women in positions of power at Frontier, at Mushroom, at, you know, record labels, it's all women, you know. For instance, oh my God, I've just had a mental block, but the girl that's taken over from Dennis Hanlon, and I know her very well. I know her company.
If you don't.
I know the company that she used to run, and she goes out with a good friend of mine, but she'd be, I would say, late 30s and now running CEO of Sony Music Australia. Insane. So like, you know, you can't ask for better than that.
Yeah.
a major label employing a young woman replacing an old dinosaur.
Yeah.
You know? So I think that it's getting there. I really do. I really think that it's getting there. And yeah, I think that it's still got some work to do. You know, there are still places where there's boys clubs and there's still places where there's those older men. But it's slowly changing.
It's good. It's a slow process.
It's a slow process.
We'll get there.
Yeah, we will. We will get there. I feel really, really good about it. A couple of weeks ago, I had dinner with a graduate who's kicking ass and working for a touring company and stuff like that on the Thursday night. And then on the Thursday morning, I had a coffee with this girl who I'd met at a push masterclass. And she's doing was booking the local stage for Groove in the Moon. Now she's working for Fuzzy and doing other stuff. And she's also doing a law degree, and she wanted to join the push board. And I was just like, and I walked away going, oh my God, I feel really good that there are these passionate women that are kicking ass. I kept saying to everyone that would listen to me, I feel really, really good that there's these women coming through that are really killing it, like you.
I mean, big inspiration.
Thanks.
We know who we learn from. Saying.
Thank you.
In terms of your own career, is there any lessons that you wish someone had have told you from the get-go that you know now?
It's a really good question, and I've been kind of thinking about it. And you know, it's what the big difference is when we were younger, when I was younger, and like a lot of my friends have been in the industry for as long as I have been, we had to, when we were harassed by men, and we were harassed by men many times, we laughed it off because that was the way we dealt with it. Yeah. Oh, yeah, sure. And you just walk away or whatever, you know, and keep walking or just keep working. I wish that we were able to say something.
Yeah.
And that's where I think you guys and where that started is actually going no and calling them out. I wish we'd have been able to do that because there were so many instances where that happened. Yeah. And if you watch that, the Sony music, the one on Dennis Hanlon.
Yep.
When Eloise and I watched it, we were going, yep, oh yeah, that happened. Oh yeah, that happened. Yep. You know, I was working at a record label at that time, and it was not just Sony, it was all of them. Yeah. You know, so I wish that was. I wish that we would have been able to call out those things.
It's crazy seeing you now because I just can't imagine you like laughing it off.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
But I can imagine the position, like being in the position where you feel that there's no other option.
There's no other option.
Yeah.
You just, you know.
So yucky.
Yeah.
Anyway, change. Change is coming.
Change is coming.
Oh my gosh. Okay, last question for you. Lucky last. Why do you think it's important for those who don't identify as women to be listening to what we're doing today?
I think it's important that they know that it hasn't always been really easy and it hasn't been an equal playing field. Yeah. It hasn't at all. And I think that they need to be aware that the women are going to take over and you need to just be ready for that. Because you know, it hasn't always been easy. And I don't think that a lot of them were aware of what was going on and what has gone on. And I think that if they were aware, it would be a little, you know, they'd have a different point of view. Yeah. So I think that's why, you know, okay. And then I also think maybe they're thinking, well, why should we care? It happened before. It's still happening. Yeah. And you need, you know, so everyone needs to be on equal playing field. Everyone needs to be treated equally. And also the one other thing I want to say this has probably not got anything to do with this question, but
Go.
I think it's really important to everybody to remember that it's a small industry, and if you say or do anything to somebody and you just treat people the way you want to be treated.
Yeah.
Because if you don't, it's small.
Yeah.
And people will know.
Yeah.
And you don't know who people know.
Yes.
You know?
Too true.
Yeah.
What an epic final piece of advice you just clicked on there at the end. Okay. Mic drop.
Mic drop.
Is there anything else you want to add? Any fun stories, pieces of wisdom?
Oh, God, I don't know. Fun stories. I think I want to say that I started off, like I said, I started off not knowing anything about the music industry. And then it has been my life. And I want to say that it's been such a joy to do something that I love, and then for the last 9 years to teach something that I love, and to encourage and grow, all these wonderful humans to hopefully share my passion.
It's working.
Because it really is. And you've got to be passionate. You've got to be really driven and passionate, because it's not going to happen if you just think that it's just going to sit back.
Yeah.
You've got to really want it. And I did things like sold everything that I owned and moved to LA, and had suitcases. And I was determined to make it work.
Yeah.
I was determined to learn and to grow and to get as much experience as I could. And, yeah. Oh, one other thing, make sure you've got super. Because that's what I don't have.
Awesome. Thanks, Chrissie. Thanks for being here. Thanks for your advice. Always teaching, never stops teaching.
Never stop teaching.
Appreciate you being here.
Thank you.
That was Chrissie Vincent that we just had on. As we said at the start, an absolute powerhouse. What a gun. You've been watching Her Sound. Thanks for joining us for 3 whole episodes. Just a reminder, we've had Chrissie, we've had Jade, and we've had Beloved. If you haven't watched all of those interviews, you should go back and watch all of them because they're incredible. Thanks for watching.